Ladies and gentlemen, we are officially at war with Iran. The United States, as I'm sure you've heard by now, if you don't live in a hole, that we struck Iran's nuclear facilities and there are imminent retaliation measures going to take place. I want to let you know all of what we know at this point in time, including Trump's public statements and Hegseth's response and JD Vance saying, no, okay, no, all right. So listen, okay, all right, listen. Here's the deal. We're not at war with Iran, per se. We're at war with their nuclear. Okay, cool, good. First, let's start with this photo. Trump really, can we just be honest? Trump really wants to emulate the Barack Obama photo. He's tried multiple times now. That's just a petty thing he's obsessed with. When Obama was overseeing the killing of Osama bin Laden, and there was this iconic photo, he's stressed, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and Trump keeps trying to emulate it. But the thing is about Obama's photo, this is not the most important thing, but we're going to start with it to give you the aesthetic, is that Obama didn't look like somebody who was a person and then had a vacuum strapped to their rear end that sucked out every bit of life out of him, which is what Trump looks like right here. Just particularly bronzed, and he just doesn't look great. Okay, so that's the photo. He wanted to be iconic. And here's the problem. Okay, so before getting in any deeper, obviously if you had compelling intelligence that Iran was posing an imminent threat to us, a strike was planned, they had nuclear capabilities, but a huge issue here. Part of what's so problematic that they didn't get congressional approval is they don't have such intelligence. We saw Tulsi Gabbard contradicting Trump, and there's just a lot of confusion in a time that's really scary, and the stakes could not be higher. So Trump posted, "I'll be giving an address to the nation at 10 p.m. Eastern at the White House regarding our very successful military operation in Iran. This is an historic moment for the United States of America, Israel, and the world. Iran must now agree to end this war. Thank you." Which, listen, strange time to say that. You just struck them? All right. We've had our fun. Let's wrap this up now. What? Didn't we just like take an escalatory step? Then Trump said any retaliation by Iran against the United States of America will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight. Thank you, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Now, I will continue to say, whatever my issues are with Trump, I also hope Iran, even though I don't think it's likely at all, especially given what just happened, but decides to do a peace agreement. That would be wonderful. Likely? No. Wonderful? Yes. Impossible even? Yeah. Now, this speech, again, in a time like this, history is being made, a war has begun, the consequences, so much human life on the line. The least we could ask for, aside from disagreeing with the decision-making of Trump and the fact that many are describing this as illegal, for the reason I just explained with congressional approval not being there. But all of that aside, it would be nice in such a moment to have a president who can make us feel confident. But instead, we got this.
And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So many people I want to thank. Netanyahu. Woohoo, Netanyahu. I want to thank Iran. They call it Iran. And in particular, number 3, I want to thank a man by the name of God. They call him God. Thank you, God. So clearly he kind of messed up with his reading of the teleprompter during the God bless portion. I'm not feeling super confident. I'm not feeling assured. They're being very opaque, not transparent, about what exactly the intelligence was that would have necessitated an act like this. Then you have more of Trump's remarks.
With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we...
I think the look on JD's face, we don't have Cole in today, so we don't have the soundbite, but the look on JD's face says it all. All of them look just utterly scared, which is the same. You know, again, I already referenced the intelligence issue here, but then you also have, to be clear, none of this, I think this is obvious, but none of this is to sugarcoat the reality of the Iranian regime. And it's very reasonable not to want them to have nuclear weapons, okay? They haven't made the case that that was imminent, thus bringing up major legal issues with this and justification problems. And it has to be repeated that Trump was the one who ripped up, as it was working, the nuclear agreement the United States had with Iran that was secured under Barack Obama, that every international institution tracking it said was working to prevent, through a peaceful means the creation of nuclear weapons by Iran. And then I'll just show you the introduction of this and we'll move on to other things.
Thank you very much. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
All right, so obviously the big fear here is what's going to happen in response, and will this continue to escalate? It would be one thing if it stopped here. That's kind of what we're all hoping, naively, but it won't. We already have some updates on that as we continue forward. Please do, if you appreciate the show, click the subscribe button. It's going to be quite the time, and I do appreciate, despite all this going on, you choosing to be here with me as we just try to make sense of all of this. And do you know who's helping us make sense of it? JD, our wonderful vice president, who said this.
Question, Mr. Vice President, is the United States now at war with Iran?
No, Kristen, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program. And let me just say, Kristen, that we're incredibly grateful.
I try not to swear, so fill in whatever word you prefer, okay? But what was that? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Quote, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program? Iran's nuclear program. Iran's nuclear program. Iran is in that key part of it. I think that means we're at war with Iran. I'm not an expert, actually. I am not an expert. But I think when you're at war with a country's program, you're at war with them. I think is what the experts would say. I'm not fighting you. I'm just at war with your face. I'm not, what? What are you talking about? I'm not fighting you. I'm just punching your face. That's sort of like the logic of that. Doesn't make any sense. And stand by, it's sort of like if you're going to take such a step, first of all, can you come explain, please, more compellingly with more strong intelligence, what's happening here and why we could see what could potentially be a catastrophic war with a country from the candidate who ran on being the big, great peacemaker. But also, if you're going to do a step like this, can you at least admit what you're doing? The wordplay, it convinces nobody than this.
And the second thing is, Kristen, I certainly empathize with Americans who are exhausted after 25 years of foreign entanglements in the Middle East. I understand the concern, but the difference is that back then we had dumb presidents, and now we have a president who actually knows how to accomplish America's national security objectives.
Really? So we go from, are we at war with Iran? No, we're at war with a country that starts with an I and somewhere in it has the word ran. Okay. What do you say to people who are worried after we saw the failures, to human life, to our country's resources, the catastrophic decisions that were made regarding wars in the Middle East before? What do you say to people worried that us getting drawn into another situation like that could be terrible? Especially when you all tore up the thing that was working before. And the response is, well, we had dumb presidents before. Now we have smart presidents. He has a big brain. Other presidents had small brains. Maybe don't use the word dumb. That's just such a juvenile word for this situation. Friend of the show, Dave Pacman, tweeted that Trump statement last night was like a horror comedy. Announced military action that he launched lacking any congressional approval while slurring and struggling to read his teleprompter. I want to thank God. God thanks us, we thank him. So good, so God. Struggling to read his teleprompter, which he claims not to need, and Obama and Biden were bad for using teleprompters. Terrifying. Terrifying indeed. Also terrifying. Iran parliament, reports Axios, reportedly backs closing Strait of Hormuz, which could spike oil prices. The narrow channel between Iran and Oman is the choke point for a quarter of the world's seaborne oil trade and around 1/5 of all oil movements. And the parliament has endorsed closing the Strait of Hormuz, a vital oil transit point off its coast, but the authority rests with regime security officials per summaries of state-controlled media. This could cause a massive spike in oil prices, just as one note. The other thing that's a little bit confusing is they said they completely, if you're going to do this, I'd hope that it completely worked, right? I think that's a fair logic. All right, you're doing this, risking everything. Did it work? There's some unknown right now. You all know I don't doubt the power and might of the U.S. military whatsoever. I think we should use it very cautiously. But when objectives are laid out and the president decides, I don't doubt, like whenever they would go, well, why do you care that we leaked things on Signal, that people got sucked into group chats, as Walt said, when the military operation was so successful? Yes, of course, the military is very successful. It's very effective. We have the biggest, most well-funded, most powerful military in the history of human existence. So yes, I don't doubt that. So my assumption would be it would work. The consequences could make it not worth it, though. But it seems maybe it didn't even accomplish fully what they were hoping. New York Times reports Iran's Fordo site said to look severely damaged, not destroyed. Initial military assessments of the buried nuclear site contrast with the statement on the strike there made by President Trump, which was a complete and total obliteration. One quick pause from that topic, because remember what Tucker's theory was on the warmongers.
Have you noticed that like a huge percentage of war-crazed Republican senators are secretly gay? What is that?
Are they?
Yeah. Like, what is that?
Which are the ones that are secretly gay?
I don't know. That the ones who are secret about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. When in doubt, blame the gays. It's the gays' fault. Well, how does that pop into your brain? Just something's wrong with Tucker. Anne-Marie Hordern, a Bloomberg reporter, said Iran state TV reported that the country had evacuated personnel from the 3 nuclear sites in advance. According to the broadcaster's political deputy, Iran had relocated its nuclear stockpiles from those sites to secure locations. If that's true, that would be another example of something pretty scary in that maybe if the risk that was laid out here, that we're waiting to see the full response to, if it wasn't even fully successful, that could be all the worse. One thing I saw someone post, talking points have been issued, and you just have all of these MAGA accounts with strangely similar talking points. If you're no longer MAGA because Trump wiped out Iran's nuclear sites, you were never MAGA. If you're upset that Trump took out Obama's nuclear facilities in Iran, you were never MAGA. Of course, Gunther Eagleman blaming it on Obama. Obama got the solution that Trump, it was working. It proved we didn't need this. And we could still prevent them from developing nuclear weapons. But whatever. He says it's Obama's nuclear facilities. Someone else said, if you're no longer MAGA because Trump wiped out nuclear sites, you were never MAGA. Is that word for word the other one? I may upset a lot of people with this, but if you're no longer MAGA because Trump wiped out nuclear sites, you were never MAGA. Another person, if you're no longer MAGA because Trump wiped out... What? All the same wording. These same influencers. Is it because they're Russian bots? No. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. But no need to fear. Hegseth is here. Let's listen.
Iran and North Korea are cooperating on nuclear and missile development. Do you think there is a possibility that Iran, North Korea, and the other forces, such as China, will join forces to retaliate against the United States?
Well, unfortunately, because of the policies under the previous administration, we drove those countries together, and ultimately that creates a challenging environment. For this particular operation, the focus is on Iran and Iranian nuclear capabilities. That's our...
So the question is, are our adversaries going to unite? We have a different segment on this. The answer is yes. And it's very scary what Russia's talking about here. Which is, again, I refuse to do the World War III fear-mongering because people have been doing that forever. And it's just, we're always about to be World War III, okay? And you would have to look at what the steps that would have to be taken by our adversaries to unite in a full force against us is still very unlikely. But the support that would be given to Iran, we're more in that discussion than we'd ever want to be, seeing our adversaries align on something like this, war. But again, that's for a different segment. And Hegseth, and get ready, because this is something we're hearing a lot. It's, oh yeah, because something, Biden. I've been hearing this constantly. Yeah, well, I think, listen, Biden opened the border. What? What? Well, listen, all right, yeah, okay, yes, this is Trump's decision. This is all Trump's thing. But if we really think about it, what does this strike say about Biden's decline? That's really what we need to evaluate. Jake Tapper? Jake? Can you figure that out for us? What does this say about... Guys, that MAGA, I'm in this... I feel like I've been very kind lately with all of you. I want to help you. I gave you the advice that maybe you shouldn't go around saying that you don't want Juneteenth and you do want Robert E. Lee named on bases. I think it's just a bad look. It comes off, out of touch, I guess. It's just like a little old-fashioned, like groceries, little old-fashioned. I think you come off very icky when you say, take away Juneteenth and add back Robert E. Lee's name to stuff. So I'm just, for your sake, maybe I want you to know you come off really bad when you say that. Similarly, you come off very silly when you make what's going on right now about Biden. This was a preemptive strike by the United States. There's no Iran did this because Biden did. It's very difficult. It's not that you can't sometimes do this is a through line of the past. There are things like that, like how the economy's pretty good. Like that, you know what? You can blame that on Biden. I get that. It's pretty good because of Biden. But this is not one of those things. There's not really a through line. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy responded to this breaking news and has been using pretty stark language about what he knew and his take on it.
I just woke up here in Bucharest, Romania. I was here to meet with the new president and, of course, saw news of the strikes in Iran. There are a few important things to say about this moment. The first, of course, is that the president does not have authorization to take these strikes. I have been briefed on the intelligence. There is absolutely no evidence that there was an imminent threat of attack against the United States, and in the absence of an imminent attack, the Constitution is clear. Congress, the American people, have to make the decision about war. But just as importantly, the United States has been very good at getting into wars in the Middle East. But there is no history of the United States knowing how to get out of wars. And so what we need to be talking about today is the ways in which this could go very badly for the United States. Of course, Iran could strike back, and our forces are not well protected in the region. If a dozen Americans die, of course, that escalates this conflict. This could lead to regime change in Iran. Now, you might say, could it be worse than the supreme leader, someone who has done such damage to American interests and to Israel in the region? Well, of course it can be worse. Of course, you could end up having an even more dangerous regime inside Tehran, or the country could descend into civil war. This is a moment where the Congress needs to step in. And so my belief is that next week Congress needs to take action, needs to take a vote to make it clear that the president doesn't have this authorization. And this is also a moment for Americans all over the country to stand up and say what should be obvious to this president. We do not want another war in the Middle East. We have seen the untold damage done in lives lost, in money wasted, in reputation squandered by military misadventures in the Middle East.
Exactly, well said, and I don't think anything could be more frightening than not just these circumstances, but these circumstances overseen by Trump, because there's almost something quaint about Senator Murphy saying the Constitution X, Y, and Z. Yeah, I miss those times. The Constitution. Jesse Dollimore gave this sucker to me, pocket Constitution. When that's something that our president cared about. He said terminate it. Oh, is that, so it didn't stop from doing this strike. He knew that. Is it going to stop from future? Congress, Republicans will do nothing. They will do nothing to rein Trump in. Now, one of the Republicans who's been speaking out against Trump a lot is Republican Representative Massey. And here's some of what he said.
What he promised us was we would put America first. And I think there are still voices in this administration. You've still got J.D. Vance. You've still got Tulsi Gabbard. You still, RFK Jr., you still got calmer heads that could prevail.
They were not.
I keep hearing that. That's why I wanted to play that. I'm just really hoping that the calmer or cooler heads will prevail. Again, similar to the Constitution point, feeling like, what? Where are you? Which world are you in? I want to live in that world. Cooler heads. Pfft. You think JD is going to come into Trump's office and say, you need to stop this, Mr. President? No, Tulsi even, who was supposed to be the most I don't want war ever person, to the point where she takes that stance to mean ridiculous things. She stretches it so far. Like, don't give any aid to Ukraine. But even she was out posting, no, I agree with Trump, actually. Never mind. Everything I said before, even that March testimony, you misheard me. And actually, Trump's right. Our intelligence apparatus was wrong, and Trump's vibe was right. Cooler heads. Share your thoughts in the comments.